Hey, Webby.
What?
We're doing it again.
Doing what?
Taking everybody to Gen Con.
Okay, you guys have fun.
You coming this time too, you big angry panda bear?
How?
Because they're gonna help us.
Who's they? The listeners?
Yep. If you guys would like to help us get to Gen Con, then join us June 23rd for our live stream fundraiser. We'll be giving away prizes and just having a ball all day. There'll be exclusives that won't be available ever again after this stream.
Not to mention the cocktail wheel. That thing has gotten an overhaul. You thought last year was rough? Oh, dude, watching you guys on that video, not good. Wait till you see what is in store this year.
Webby, that's not it. We're introducing a scavenger hunt, the Distractions Media style. You can also contribute to that and send us looking for your favorite pop culture fandom.
And it all kicks off June 23rd at noon Eastern. Come join the Distractions Media crew and help us get to Gen Con so we can grow and see you guys.
The Fate of Heroes, starring Patrick, Devin, Rob, Tamara, and John as the Game Master.
And welcome back, this time to kind of a end of season look back at Fate of Heroes for season 3. We're live streaming this, so I hope you'll join us. For those of you that are on the stream, if you have questions, please ask. I will try and answer them. If you just want to listen, whatever, just lurk, doesn't matter to me. So what are we doing today? So we're talking a little bit about Fate of Heroes, a little bit about where we've been the last little bit, kind of what's coming next and what's down the pike for Distractions over the next few months, so that you guys know kind of where we are, where we're going to be, kind of an outline of how things are going to go for the next month or so. And hopefully it will be something you guys will have interest in. And then we'll wrap this up at that point. So, we started season 3 in September. It was kind of a different season. We had a very serious and sort of somber storyline the year previous, and there was a lot of big moments wrapped into that. A lot of big issues were dealt with. A lot of bad things happened to the characters, and things got very serious and very, like I said, very somber. That would be the word I would use quite consistently with it. We had character death. We had a bunch of major things happen during the recordings. And of course, we also had going concurrently, the Wardens of Anua, which was a different sort of series. It was much more fun and silly, a bit more like Guardians of the Galaxy and a little less like Dark Knight kind of thing. I almost would compare the two of them to that kind of environment. And the storyline that year was to kind of get the guys and girls through to a point which I had predetermined, which was that they would have one group going off into space while another group ends up stuck in time. Of course, that all changed later on in the season, and we modified everything so that we ended up having everybody coalesce into one group. We had the remaining warden, Leelui, end up on the planet Earth in the past, and then we'd already sent Alex, of course, into the past prior to that. And then we sent the other two to join them. So then our group was much more confined, much smaller, had very specific goals, and kind of spent the next season, all of season 3, basically trying to get back to where they started from, trying to get back to the future, trying to not screw up the timeline in the process. And during all that, we had a few revelations. Of course, we had to deal with the fact that our, some of our characters were responsible for the death of, like, Alex's brother, for example. There were characters who had to deal with a lot of change in their lives and change in kind of what they were used to. They were worried that they killed, fellow members of their group had been killed. So there were some serious aspects. There always would be, but at the same time, there were some fun aspects, and that was kind of the goal, to kind of loosen things up before it gets really serious and heavy, and try and keep it that way as much as possible, because I think that worked really well for the Wardens, and I wasn't as sure in Season 2 of Fate of Heroes if we took the right tone. But nonetheless, we did what we could. We made it work, and I think for the most part, most of the episodes are really good. I think there are stronger ones than others, obviously, as there is in any series. I think our live stream Roman one was probably the funniest because of all the nutsy stuff that happened during that. But I think there's a lot of very good episodes in there. I think there's a lot of good things that happened. We introduced a few new characters. We had one character leave the series. And, of course, we reintroduced Trevor late on in the season to kind of get him back into kind of touch with what's going on in the present, in quotes. The idea being is that we wanted to keep this very loose, very, I don't want to say thinly plotted, because that's not the right word, but that the idea was that the series would be a little bit lighter and a little bit more fluffy, as I said earlier. So that was the goal of the series. We pursued through that. It's up to the listeners to decide whether that was successful or not. And as well, I think I think from a story standpoint, I like where we got to in the end. I think there were some very good parts to that. I think it was critical from my perspective when we started looking at the series, initially last spring, I guess, when we finished off season 2. I had a real specific goal I wanted to accomplish out of season 3. It was crystallized around Leelui and around Alex, and then through a joke message that was sent via Rob one day in one of our chats, talking about the idea that he would actually be related to Leelui, that he could be Grampy Raspy. And I kind of took that, and he was joking. That was all. He didn't really mean anything by it. And I kind of took that and ran with it. And I thought, that's kind of an interesting way to take this, because up until that point, I really didn't have a good grip on what Rasputin was trying to accomplish. I mean, I knew from where I had talked to Tamara about the character and had discussed in depth in the past about kind of where her character came from. I had a concept of Rasputin's role in all of that, but I didn't have a good concept of Rasputin, who he was, what he was doing, why he was doing the things he was doing, because she hadn't really written that out. And so one of the things I wanted to do this year is really kind of come to grips with that part of it. And so the idea in this whole thing is, and I can discuss this now because we're kind of past this storyline, is that the older Rasputin had at one point, so in the backstory of Leelui, which we won't get into in major detail because there's still some revelations to come out of that, there is this story about how Leelui was born, how her brother gets inside of her, and that, in fact, Leelui would have died had Rasputin not gone back into the past and fiddled with things. And so, we had a time character who could move through time and do all sorts of things and manipulate time. And there was another character who could do the same sort of thing in the present. So that's kind of when that hint was made by Rob, I just sat there and went, that does make sense. And we can manipulate his past a bit because it's not really been gone into. And Leelui has never defined herself terribly well as to who she is. I mean, in accordance to the storyline, she disappears at age 6, and the next time we see her, she is still effectively a 6-year-old, and she's been manipulating herself to forget everything. So, through Jacob, and because of that, she has no concept of what might have gone before. She doesn't really know the stories, doesn't really know everything about her past. So for her, it's still very foggy. So that's the thing that I was able to manipulate, because from a story perspective, now you have this massive idea of what Rasputin is, what his role is, how it influences Leelui, and what's driving Leelui's agenda. And so I kind of wanted to get that dealt with. I kind of wanted to get Rasputin's situation dealt with, because I felt like if we could deal with that, then we've got ourselves a situation where we're only looking at trying to resolve a couple of issues at that point. I also wanted to get away from the Lincoln story that we'd been kind of very much involved with all of the year previous, and I kind of wanted to get away from that. I wanted to get away from the everybody's related to everybody thing, and just kind of tell a story that didn't have anything to do with that. And I mean, I admittedly had another relationship built up in the process, but what I was looking to accomplish with that is you trying to bring people in who are going to be representing different characters and representing different ideas. And of course, the big thing with Leelui, and especially with Rasputin, is at the end of the day, what is the goal that Rasputin has? Why is he bothering to do all this stuff? Why did he time meddle? What is in it for him? And in the Leelui backstory, his reason for meddling is to save his grandchildren. And he only saves one. So in my mind, it made perfect sense that he would continue to try and meddle to get the other free from the bondage that that child had been put into. And so that was the goal of the season, was to get Jacob free. It's something I set in place last year in season 2. Actually, over the winter months, we revealed that Jacob was not inside of Leelui, and there was no explanation as to how this had happened. So I wanted this conversation to effectively be, this is how we got there, and this is how it would work. And I think that's really important for us to understand kind of how, how can he be there? Even if it's not a total explanation, at least you get something out of it. So that was the goal of the whole campaign, effectively, as much as it sounds funny. That was the driving focus I had when I thought about this a year ago last spring. And as we kind of moved through the summer, that's kind of where my writing had gone with this direction, as well as, of course, getting them back to the present. I also threw in the additional fact that they were 5 years into the present and a lot had happened. I didn't want it to be just here's a get out of jail free card. You're back where you were. No time has passed. I wanted there to be some time passed. I wanted there to be some, to use the subtitle of last season, some consequences for what they had decided to do and what had been done to them effectively. So that was kind of the understanding I had. And in the process, one of the things I wanted to bring into it was the character of Emma, who Runa played this year. She becomes initially sort of the MacGuffin that kind of motivates them. At least that was the idea, was she was supposed to motivate them to continue to move forward, to continue to make decisions, to continue to wonder what's going on. And we can argue as to how, I will argue as somebody who's writing this, how successful that was. But I think that Runa did a great job with the character, not having the background, not having the familiarity with how this character worked or what my goal was with it. You kind of get thrown in with, here's a character who's already pre-made, already has predetermined things. Now play this character. So it was pretty tough because she had to do it without not a lot of knowledge of what was going on, not a lot of knowledge of kind of where everything was going. So I think she did really well with that. I think that was, I congratulate her on making her way through it, because I think that was really good and really important to me, to have that character feel real, feel confused, feel like she's been thrown into the deep end without really understanding why. And I didn't want her to be yet another time traveler character. I wanted her to be something different, because we already have 2 of those. We don't need a third one. So that was the other thing. The other thing is I didn't want them to just go, oh, we transport back into the future. So I wanted to make them feel like you had to earn it. You had to work for it. It wasn't going to be a 5-minute story. You know, you're going to have to take actual time to get where you want to go. Now, the one thing the characters, of course, did, which I found kind of interesting and I did not plan for, while I had points in the story where they had to do certain things, by no means did I want them to think, okay, this is in order to get past this, I have to solve this. And so I tried to put in plot points that actually were people helping them, or in some cases, people just being people and not actually have anything to do with them, which is kind of funny because, I mean, immediately in a role-playing aspect, you immediately think, oh, there must be a reason for this. There must be a reason for this. Well, sometimes no, there was no reason for this. A lot of the stuff in fact, in Rome there was no reason for it. The Celtic stuff was basically, there's no reason for it. It's mostly just to kind of progress the story a bit, have a little bit of a different experience from the one you previously had, and kind of, you know, come to grips with a different way of thinking and a way of life. So I don't want it to be, the whole point of this was not to make it super heavy, not to make it super oppressive or sad or, oh, I'm going to angst about, you know, my lost loves or children or whatever. I wanted people to think, no, this is fun. This is adventure. It's exciting. It's hilarious. And so I tried to, I guess, in some ways kind of push that idea, maybe a little bit too far in some instances. I'm not entirely sure. So, but that was kind of where that came from. The other thing that we looked at was trying to develop the story a little bit and trying to get some of the characters a little bit more spotlight, a little bit more time to kind of develop themselves. And of course, part of that was the relationship between Saif and CJ, Devin's characters. Saif, of course, the character who'd come from Wardens, and of course CJ, who'd been a character in Fate of Heroes over the last little while, and had been a important character to them. So his kind of outline for him was to try and meld those two characters. I mean, he wasn't really sure kind of what he wanted to do with them. I don't think he had a good idea. He liked some of the things about the characters, but hadn't really made a decision about it. And I think that was where this kind of helped, because it kind of helped him kind of come to grips with what he wanted, and maybe didn't want. And hopefully next year he has a few choices he can do. He can take any one of 3 roles and run with it. And, you know, it's up to him whether he wants to do that or not. So he's got to make that choice. So that's kind of where he was. And of course, Lincoln, I kind of wanted to take away from being the center of the universe when it came to this story. And so a lot of the focus moved to the other two rather than him, kind of aiming more at him, trying to get him less, you know, we did some things this year with him so that he wasn't just a bonus character, but at the same time, I really didn't want it to center on him, because that was something that happened a little too much last season, and I wanted to get away from that. Whether we were successful or not, I'm not entirely sure. I think we did okay, though. I think we did pretty good at trying to give a little bit of balance to the other characters, so I think there was that. Going forward, this, you know, may be a situation where we'll have some people leave, some people continue. We'll see. Next year is going to be interesting, because our 4th season is going to be an interesting one, because our 4th season, I'm not sure if I've said this on social media publicly yet, will be the last season for Fate of Heroes. It is wrapping up at the end of that. I think by the end of that season, the characters that have been a part of the series will have kind of hit the point where I wanted them to hit to, kind of, you know, they'll be at that, I wouldn't say happy ending, but at that point where really the characters have reached as far as they're going to go. And I think from a storytelling perspective, I'm kind of running out of useful ideas, and I don't want to get in a situation where I'm telling stories over again, or, you know, putting out lesser quality content just because, you know, oh, we got to keep this story going because it's kind of the moneymaker or whatever you want to call it. So for me, that's always important. I think that Fate of Heroes needs to be a series that people can listen to and not feel like it sort of leapt off into being not as good. Hopefully people don't think that. I think it's just good now as it was the first season, even as characters change in and out. So, I mean, my goal with it is to continue to make it as fresh as possible. And I think from that perspective, I think that's a good point to wrap it up after this season. The other big news with all that is the new season, while it will start in December, it will go to the normal end point at the end of the kind of this time next year. It'll be around the end of April, beginning of May, and at that point the series will wrap up. Now, what does that mean? Effectively, it means that while the series will wrap up, the podcast itself will continue to have content on it, and we'll continue to have stories to tell, and certainly we'll continue forward with a new series at that point. More on that later, but we'll talk about something that is to come very shortly. Vendetta Effect, that is the next series that is coming out. It comes out very shortly, in fact, the week after this Saturday, and it will go in most of the summer. And it will be, again, the same sort of spy period, Cold War setting. So all of our characters are back. It's a lot of fun, as always. We've recorded a few episodes already, so I'm very pleased with how it's continuing to go. It's one of those series I have a lot of fun doing, and it will be a lot of fun to listen to. That's kind of when that ends. However, we will have a new series starting up that Rob's going to be running, and it's going to have some different people in it. It's going to have some new characters, and it's going to be based around a popular TV series. I'm not going to get into full details because he's the one running it. I don't want to steal his thunder. But that series will go basically, I think, from middle of August-ish until sometime in around the end of October, maybe even the end of October. At that point, we'll have one more, at least, mini-series, which will then come out, which Tamara is actually going to run. I have nothing to do with, which is awesome. This series will be a space-based series. I think it'll be quite different than anything else we've done, just from what I've been told about it. And it will feature a number of our streamers actually in it, so I think that'll be interesting for them who've not done RPG games and kind of familiar with it, because I think it's going to be a very fun series, and I'm looking forward to listening to it as a fan and kind of hearing where it's going to go. But that'll start up after basically the first week in November. And so that one's a big one. That series will be coming out, like I said, in November. And it is a lot of fun. I think it'll be really crazy. Just from what I've been told about how the stories are being made, it will be much more like an episodic TV show than it's going to be like a mass storytelling RPG, which just continues on from each story. And it will feature some, like I said, some of our streamers. So it'll be people who haven't normally done RPG games before. But those are the people from a streaming aspect that haven't really done a lot of RPG. In fact, 2 of them told me they've never done it, so that'll be fun. And then, of course, then Fate of Heroes Season 4 starts up. I can tell you as well that series will feature at least 1 new person, possibly 2, we'll see. And we'll see who's back and who continues on. I still don't fully know quite who's all going to be involved next year. I'm hoping to firm that all up soonish, but obviously you'll find out as we go along. So that's that. So what I'd like to do now, we are adding new people occasionally. I think that has been fairly successful so far. We're not going to be adding anybody new for a while, but I think the people we do have are good people, and I think they offer us a lot of really great qualities that I think we're very much in appreciation of, and I think I expect continued great things from everybody. Of course, right now, as most of you are aware, Flux UHC is going out Season 3. Out on our YouTube channel is both myself and Tamara. On B's channel, basically B is hers. And, of course, Ember and Lori and Avalos are all putting out their episodes on their channels on YouTube. So you want to check that series out. Even if you're listening Saturday, it is actually really good. And the series goes for a bit. yet, so you definitely want to check it out. If you want to check out our episodes, it's youtube.com/Distractions Media Productions. And if you look at any of the episodes, it does have links to everybody else, so you can start there and move along through the different groups. We're going to continue to keep our YouTube channel active. My goal is to try and motivate people to come look at it. I think it offers a different way of doing content, and so I want to continue to do that. And I want to continue to do more stuff on there that's a little different from the usual streaming, but as well as putting some of our streaming stuff, like we're putting our Game and Distractions stuff up there, at least I am. For those of you that didn't get a chance to watch the actual streams, I don't know if I'll put loads up there, but we can hopefully get some things out of it that will be kind of cool for everyone. I kind of want to get as many people involved in getting videos up as we can. Ember and Runa are talking about doing a series up on our YouTube channel. I know there's been talk by a couple of different people putting some stuff up there. Of course, Ember put her League of Legends thing up there a couple of weeks ago. So I'm sort of hoping that we'll have at least continual content. It won't necessarily be as regular as, say, what we have done in the past. There won't be daily episodes for sure. There may be some, but I wouldn't get too excited about it being constant, because I think it'll be sort of every second day, maybe. And those will likely probably be things from our streams that we're putting up. But I think those are worth it. I think they're cool. I think it adds some value to the streams. So I think we'll continue to do that as well. I think our streams, of course, are continuing. We're fairly regular with them in the most parts. Rob is usually Monday, Friday. Avalos is usually Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I'm usually Monday, Saturday, and Sunday. And Tamara is usually Tuesday and Thursday and Sunday. And then, of course, B is even more regular than all of us during the week, and you'll have to check out her schedule because I know it changes somewhat from time to time. And of course, we have Ember and Runa and, Devin sometimes streams, and so we have a lot of people streaming. We have people streaming from the Distractions stream site, so there's some of that too. And maybe we'll have more. Of course, Lori's streaming with her daughter quite often, and also by herself on both YouTube and on Twitch. So that also is an additional fun thing. So with all that said in mind, thank you for listening, everyone. I hope you have a great rest of the year. We'll see you at our live stream on December 1st for our charity stream. That will be one of the kickoff points for our new season. So I hope you'll join us then. Until then, take care, everyone. Have a great weekend and enjoy Vendetta Effect as it comes out. And to all you future people listening after the fact, I hope you've enjoyed all that we do. And check out everything we do at distractionsmedia.com. And be sure to follow us on the various channels that we do. Thank you. Bye.
This has been a Distractions Media production. For more information, you can check out everything we do at distractionsmedia.com.